Have you ever felt a silent wall growing between you and the world the moment you started thinking differently? Not because you shouted louder, but because your very presence unsettled the quiet comfort others built around their lives. Change, real change, is rarely welcomed. It threatens the invisible agreements of mediocrity that most have made without even realizing. Perhaps lately you've begun to question the things you once accepted, to act from reason instead of habit, to see the world with clearer eyes. And with that clarity comes an unexpected weight, loneliness, misunderstanding, subtle resistance. Today, we step into a path few dare to take, the path of forging a mind so strong, so grounded, that it terrifies not through violence, but through unwavering presence. Stay with me if something inside you knows it's time to stop living on borrowed beliefs and start building yourself from the ground up. Number 1. Radical freedom. Owning your mind without illusions. Let's talk about a truth few dare to face. There is no hidden hand guiding your life. No cosmic script pre-written for your comfort. No external savior waiting at the end of your struggle. When the Stoics taught that we must stand firm within ourselves, they were not offering comfort. They were offering liberation. To realize that no one owes you meaning. No one owes you. Redemption is a terrifying awakening. Yet it is also the moment when real strength begins. What dies is not God. It is the illusion of protection of a pre-packaged destiny. It is the comforting lie that suffering will automatically make sense because someone out there decreed it. The Stoic view is harsher, but infinitely more empowering. The universe is indifferent, and meaning is something you create, not something you are given. When you stop outsourcing your responsibility to fate, to fortune, to unseen forces, you reclaim the authorship of your soul. Most collapse at the edge of this realization. When hardship strikes and no divine intervention comes, they feel betrayed. They cry for a map, for instructions, for someone to blame. But the Stoic path demands something greater: to stand alone in the chaos, to accept the weight of freedom without bitterness, and to begin crafting your character from the raw material of your own choices. Without the safety net of external meaning, you are thrust into the purest form of autonomy. There are no commandments left to obey, no scripts to follow. There is only the internal compass: wisdom, courage, justice, self-discipline. Nature, through hardship, forces you to stop being a follower and become a creator. Not a creator of myths, but a creator of character. You must not merely endure. You must transcend. You must craft values, not inherit them. This is not a path for the faint-hearted. It is a call to rise beyond the herd, to cease living by borrowed morals, and to create a life that commands respect through action, not through empty belief. The Stoics understood that true power comes when you stop asking life to be fair and start asking yourself to be formidable. It is easy to live by rules others have handed you. It is divine to create your own, aligned with virtue, unwavering under pressure. At the end of the day, the death of illusions is not a tragedy. It is the beginning of a life lived in full command, a life where you no longer wait to be saved because you have already chosen to save yourself. Number 2. The solitude that forges invincible souls. Let's talk about a truth that few are willing to face. The stronger your mind becomes, the lonelier your path will feel. Not because you choose to withdraw, but because true independence unsettles the crowd. Marcus Aurelius spoke clearly about this, how the mind that rises above public opinion must inevitably distance itself from the herd. Most people live their lives under silent surveillance, adjusting their thoughts and actions to maintain their place within the collective. They think like the group, move with the group, believing that safety lies in numbers. But the Stoic view is different. Growth demands separation. If you are tied to the expectations of others, you cannot grow beyond them. Most people, when faced with silence and self-responsibility, turn back. They run toward noise, toward belonging, toward the comfort of the known. They mask their doubts, deny their fears, and dilute their dreams to fit the expectations around them. But you, if you seek to become someone, the world cannot break. You must stay. You must endure the silence that strips away all illusions and leaves only what is real. Seneca once wrote that the mind must be prepared to stand alone, for true possession of oneself demands it. Freedom is not handed to those who fear isolation. It is earned by those who are willing to sacrifice approval, to sacrifice the easy bonds of shallow friendships, to sacrifice the comforts of being understood. If you cannot bear loneliness, you are not yet ready for freedom, because all real freedom begins when the need for validation dies. Imagine someone who used to be the center of every party, always surrounded, always praised, only to realize one day that none of it was real. When they stop playing the expected role, the invitations dry up. The smiles fade, but instead of feeling abandoned, they find something far greater: the power to stand by their own judgment, to respect their own path. That is when they stop being a performer and start being a master of themselves. At the end of the day, the solitude of the strong is not a burden. It is the crucible where the invincible spirit is born. Number 3. Embrace chaos as a forge for strength. Let's talk about the hidden force most people spend their entire lives avoiding: chaos. True strength is not born from ease, comfort, or carefully organized routines. It is forged in the very heart of disorder. If you want to build a mind so unshakable that it terrifies lesser souls, you must stop yearning for life to be gentle with you. You must stop chasing the illusion that clarity will come from pleasant days and easy victories. No clarity comes when you are lost, when everything familiar is torn away, when you are forced to create stability inside yourself while the world around you crumbles. The Stoics taught us that pain is not an error in the system. It is the system. Pain is the sculptor of the soul. It strips away our illusions, our weaknesses, our dependence on comfort, leaving behind only what is real: courage, patience, resilience. Those who run from hardship never meet themselves. Those who stand firm amidst chaos are introduced to the warrior within. But enduring chaos is not enough. Chaos is a teacher, but without an anchor, it will drown you. The Stoics warned against being tossed like a ship at sea, directionless and desperate. You must plant a firm center within you, an unbreakable core made of virtue, reason, and self-command. When the gods are silent and there is no providence to guide your steps, it is your own reason that must become your compass. At the end of the day, building a mind that terrifies. Weakness is not about shouting your strength to the world. It's about surviving storms without ever needing to scream. Number 4. Mastery over self. Building an unbreakable mind. Let's talk about a rare kind of strength, one that is not measured by muscles, fame, or fortune, but by the ability to stand entirely alone, guided only by an internal code. In the Stoic tradition, the highest achievement is not to master the world, but to master oneself so thoroughly that the world can no longer shake you. You must be willing to endure the pain of being misunderstood, of being called arrogant, reckless, or even mad by those who cannot comprehend the life you have chosen. Imagine a tree growing on a cliff face, twisted and battered by storm's roots, clutching bare rock. It doesn't grow straight like the others in a sheltered valley, but it survives where few others can. That tree, though gnarled, is stronger than any sheltered one. That is the journey. Building this kind of mind means losing the easy comforts of belonging. It means shedding the lazy security of group approval. Most will not endure it. They will rush back to the arms of ready-made ideologies, pre-written codes of conduct, and second-hand dreams. They would rather be accepted by the herd than bear the silence of self-reliance. But for those few who persist, something extraordinary happens. In the very solitude they feared, they find an indestructible peace. When you no longer need permission to exist, when your worth is not measured by the opinions of others, you become dangerous in the most beautiful way. You become untouchable. Your mind, unshaken by praise or blame, begins to move with a force that unsettles the comfortable and inspires the courageous. The Stoics taught that the crowd is a dangerous place, not because of evil, but because of mediocrity. To truly live with strength, you must expect to walk alone at times, to accept the cold air at the heights where few dare to climb. But in that silence, you will find the clearest voice you have ever heard, your own. At the end of the day, becoming the overman is not about conquering others. It is about conquering everything within yourself that ever made you doubt you could stand alone. Number 5. The silent cost of becoming unshakable. Let's talk about the true cost and the true glory of forging a mind so strong that it terrifies the world around you. Reaching this point is not an accident. It is not the product of positive thinking, surface-level optimism, or the shallow rituals so often sold as self-help. It is the consequence of a relentless inner transformation, a quiet, unseen battle between who you have been and who you are determined to become. If you have made it this far, you already stand apart from most. Understand this: the majority are not broken by external defeats. They are broken by internal weakness, the inability to sit with discomfort, to endure the lonely silence of serious growth. Most people turn away the moment life demands more of them than they feel ready to give. They retreat into distraction, into comfort, into crowds that tell them they are fine, just as they are. But you stayed. And that decision alone is rare. Building an unbreakable mind is not an act of addition, it is an act of renunciation. You will lose far more than you gain at first. You will lose friendships built on convenience rather than truth. You will lose opportunities that demand your compliance rather than your integrity. You will lose the easy satisfaction that comes from blending into a world that worships mediocrity. But what you gain is beyond measure. You gain yourself. You gain the clarity to see through illusions. You gain the strength to say no when everyone demands a yes. You gain the dignity to walk alone when others beg for company. And your very existence will start to unsettle people, not because you are hostile, but because you are free. True strength is not a finish line. You cross, it is a way of walking. The strongest do not retire into ease once they have grown. They continue to fight, not because they have to, but because the pursuit of excellence is itself the reward. They fight internal battles against complacency, against the subtle temptation to coast, against the soft whisper that says, "You have done enough." Nature did not intend to produce followers. It intended to provoke warriors, souls who stop crawling for acceptance, who stop begging life to make sense, and who start building meaning with their own hands. Nature wants you dangerous, not violent, but formidable, so rare in your strength, so unwavering in your clarity, that your existence alone calls others to question the lies they have built their lives upon. At the end of the day, the price of becoming unbreakable is everything you once thought you needed, but the reward is becoming someone the world cannot shake, cannot bribe, cannot break. Number 6. How collective mediocrity threatens true strength. Let's talk about an enemy more insidious than tyrants or oppressors, the quiet, invisible force of collective mediocrity. The Stoics understood this danger better than most. True oppression, they taught, often does not come from the powerful few. It seeps from the many, from the crowd that demands sameness, obedience, and comfort. It is the unspoken pressure to remain small so that others are not forced to confront their own unwillingness to grow. When you begin to forge an independent mind, when your thoughts sharpen and your spirit hardens, you will naturally unsettle those around you. Not because you intend to, but because your mere existence becomes a mirror they cannot bear to look into. As you climb higher, you make their stagnation visible. As you grow stronger, you reveal their weakness. And the crowd who cannot or will not rise with you will instinctively seek to pull you back. This is not malice in the traditional sense. It is fear masked as morality. When you begin to move differently, to speak differently, to act from principle rather than popularity, the same resistance will rise against you. Collective mediocrity does not attack directly. It attacks with numbers, with silent consensus, with the heavy hand of repetition. It will not always shout you down. More often it will quietly pressure you through cold glances, subtle exclusions, and whispered doubts. It will make you question your own sanity for daring to live differently. And this is where many falter. They give in, not because they are convinced they are wrong, but because they cannot endure being the outlier, the misunderstood, the target. They long to belong again, even if belonging means betrayal of the self. But the Stoic way demands that you endure this loneliness with dignity. To be strong is to accept that standing alone is sometimes the highest act of fidelity to truth. Nature does not reward the loudest or the most popular. It rewards the strongest, the one who does not bend under pressure, the one who does not trade clarity for acceptance. Your task is not to be loved by the many. It is to be worthy in the eyes of reason and virtue, even if you stand alone against 1,000 voices. Remember, mediocrity punishes difference, not because it is evil, but because it is weak. It fears the man who rises because he exposes how much more they could be and chose not to be. Your independence, your refusal to yield your commitment to higher values, these are acts of silent rebellion against a world desperate to remain asleep. Think of the oak tree standing alone on the windswept hilltop. It is battered by storms. It stands against the freezing winds. It does not bend easily like the reeds in the valley, but it is that very resistance that makes it mighty. So too with you. Each attack, each whisper, each cold shoulder is not a sign you are failing. It is a sign you are becoming something rare. At the end of the day, standing against collective mediocrity is not about defying others for its own sake. It is about remaining faithful to the highest version of yourself, even when the entire world whispers for you to settle. If this journey spoke to something inside you, if a part of you woke up while listening, don't let it fall asleep again. The next chapter will demand even more from you, but it will also shape you into more than you ever thought possible. If you feel called, subscribe, not for me, for yourself. To stay connected to reminders of the strength you are building, step by step, day by day. Leave your mark below with the words, "Stand your ground." You are not behind. You are not lost. You are simply walking a path few dare to choose, and every step forward, even the silent ones, is a victory.